The hardest decision in a footballer's career is to retire. It's brutally hard. So much that most of them are dying to come back not long after making the call. But few, very few, have actually managed to return. Some players retire from football because they're old and tired. Others quit prematurely due to injuries. The rest simply lose motivation. Carlos Roa, Argentina's starting goalkeeper at the 1998 World Cup in France, and hero in the penalty shootout against England, retired because he was convinced the world would end in the year 2000. Roa, nicknamed Lechuga, lettuce, for being a vegetarian, a rare Argentine who didn't eat asado, was starring for Mallorca. Spain surprised him in 1999. That same year, Roa won the Zamora Trophy for the league's best goalkeeper. It was his year of God. Manchester United, the reigning Champions League winners, had him lined up to replace their legendary keeper Peter Schmeichel. But Lechuga, having just turned 30, had older plans. He chose to become a pastor in the Seventh-day Adventist Church in his hometown of 500 people. A year later, the world hadn't ended, and Roa announced he was returning to football, on the condition that he wouldn't play on Saturdays before sunset, as it was a holiday. He played the first 4 matches of the 2000-2001 season, then injured his shoulder and missed the rest. He returned the following year, but after his spiritual break, he never truly recovered his level. After coming out of retirement, Roa played 97 more matches, 17 with Mallorca, 53 with Albacete, and 27 with Olimpo de Bahía Blanca. Manuel Almunia was a human sieve who somehow lasted 3 seasons before being replaced. Wojciech Szczęsny was a young, error-prone keeper who was tolerated for 4 years. Then came David Ospina, who only needed 1 season to show he wasn't good enough either. Next up was Peter Cech, who brought quality, experience, composure, and above all, handsomeness. But he was no longer in his prime, so he was replaced by Bernd Leno, who couldn't even stop a taxi over 3 seasons. Then came Aaron Ramsdale, who had a 2-year shot but never managed to project real security. Then David Raya arrived, and while he seems to be doing okay, he'll never be at the level of Jens Lehmann, the last Arsenal keeper who truly left a mark. Lehmann joined the Gunners to replace the legendary David Seaman in the 2003-2004 season, the very year of the Invincibles, the only team in Premier League history to finish the season unbeaten. Managed it in part thanks to Lehmann. In 2006, he helped Arsenal reach the only Champions League final in their history after saving a penalty from Juan Román Riquelme. Of course, things went to hell shortly after, when he was sent off in the final against Barca. Anyway, from 2003 to 2008, Lehmann made 199 appearances for Arsenal before moving to Stuttgart at age 38, where he retired. That retirement lasted just 9.5 months. In 2011, near the end of the Premier League season, Arsenal ran out of backup keepers, and Lehmann came out of retirement to cover for injuries to Vito Manone, Łukasz Fabianski, and Wojciech Szczęsny. Yes, Szczęsny, who will later came out of retirement himself in 2024, surely inspired by memories of Lehmann. The big moment came in match week 32, when Almunia got injured during warm-ups, and Lehmann got to play his 200th match for Arsenal at 41.5 years old, setting the club record as its oldest ever player. Arsenal won that match 3-1, and the Germans' emergency services were no longer needed for the rest of the season. In photo finish with Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan is widely considered the greatest footballer in the history of the United States, at least until Christian Pulisic retires. Donovan made his debut with Bayer Leverkusen, had an unremarkable stint at Bayern Munich, and played a couple of cameos for Everton. But when you talk about Landon Donovan, you're really talking about the MLS. He shines so brightly in the American League that the annual MVP award now bears his name. And yes, among Lionel Messi's many trophies, it's one Landon Donovan award. The American forward won the MLS title 6 times, and after securing his last one in 2014, at just 32 years old, he decided to hang up his boots. A year and 9 months later, Donovan was working as a commentator. The LA Galaxy were dealing with a wave of injuries toward the end of the season. In the middle of the crisis, someone in the organization jokingly asked if he wanted to come back. Donovan took it seriously. The legend returned to the pitch. He played the final 9 matches of the season, 5 as a starter, 4 as a sub. He scored 1 goal and retired for the second time, but not the last. 15 months after that second farewell, Donovan came out of retirement again at age 36 to play for León in Liga MX. There, he only managed to log 156 minutes total before finally, in 2018, retiring from football once and for all. A long time after football had already retired from him. Coming out of retirement is practically a Dutch tradition, one that was kick-started by none other than Johan Cruyff. The greatest European footballer in history said enough and called it quits in 1978, having worn just 2 club shirts in his career. Ajax for the first 9 years and Barcelona for the last 5. Cruyff retired at 31 with incredible numbers: 552 matches, 347 goals and 235 assists. But guess what? He lost all his money investing in pig farms. Sounds like a joke, but it's not. His business career lasted just 1 year, after which he moved to the best place on earth to learn about business, Los Angeles. In his second footballing life, Cruyff went on to play for the LA Aztecs, the Washington Diplomats, Levante, Ajax again, and finally Feyenoord. He added 155 more matches to his career, scoring 56 goals and providing 78 assists. In 1983, he returned to Ajax and won both the league and the cup. It was the perfect golden ending to his career, except that he no longer wanted to retire. When Ajax didn't offer him a 1-year extension, Cruyff threw a tantrum and drove to Rotterdam to ask for a job at the club's eternal rival, Feyenoord. Incredibly, Cruyff led them to the first Eredivisie title in a decade, and, as if that weren't enough, also lifted the Dutch Cup to complete a legendary final double. Marc Overmars was a star in the best Ajax side of the modern era, winning 3 Eredivisie titles and a Champions League. He moved to Arsenal, where he won the Premier League and the FA Cup. Then, in the 2000s, he became the most expensive signing in the history of FC Barcelona. The idea was for him to make fans forget about Luis Judas, but the only thing he accomplished across 4 injury-ridden seasons was to make them miss the Portuguese even more. In 2004, at 32 years of age, Overmars decided to retire from football. 4 years later, the Dutchman played in Jaap Stam's testimonial match and dazzled so much during that exhibition game that he was invited to come back. And so, in 2008, 4 years after his retirement, Overmars returned to professional football with Go Ahead Eagles. the club where he had started his career in 1991, and which at the time was competing in the Dutch second division. In his comeback season, the winger played 24 matches, registered 1 assist, and didn't score a single goal.
Hey there! You might know Barak in Spanish. Our channel has over 400,000 subscribers. Well, this is the official English version. Same content, same passion. Now in your language. But we need your help to grow. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this new journey. Now, let's get back to the video.
Wojciech Szczęsny played 181 matches for Arsenal. He made 28 appearances for Brentford, 81 for Roma, and 84 for the Polish national team. But the place where he truly made his mark was at Juventus, where he successfully completed a seemingly impossible mission, replacing Gianluigi Buffon. Szczęsny played 252 matches for Juve, winning 3 Scudetti and 3 Coppa Italia titles. His contract ran through 2025, but he wasn't part of Thiago Motta's plans. There were rumors he might go to Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr, but the deal never materialized. He could have joined a smaller team like Monza or stayed at Juve, collecting his hefty paycheck from the bench. But in August 2024 he chose instead to retire early at 34 years old. 2 months later, Barcelona found themselves without a goalkeeper and pulled Szczęsny out of retirement. The Polish keeper played 30 matches, and most of the time he did well. He won the Spanish Super Cup, the Copa del Rey, and La Liga. And at the end of the season, the same man who had retired in 2024 renewed his contract until 2027. Paul Scholes was never any less important to Manchester United than Steven Gerrard was to Liverpool or Frank Lampard to Chelsea. Although often underrated, likely because he shared the spotlight with so many legends in such an absurdly dominant United team, no one doubts that Scholes ranks among the very best of his generation. The redhead was one of the most versatile midfielders in football history. Offensively and defensively, he could do it all. Scholes played for 2 clubs throughout his long career, Manchester United and Manchester United. In his first stint, he won 10 Premier League titles, 5 FA Cups and 2 Champions League. Late in his career, he lost 2 UCL finals to Barcelona, and after the last one, he admitted he had no legs left and announced his retirement in 2011. Old Trafford was packed to the brim to say goodbye to the genius in a testimonial match against the New York Cosmos. Even Pelé didn't want to miss it. And for a good reason. Scholes was 36 years old and walked away as a true one-club man, with 674 matches and 150 goals under his belt across 18 seasons in the first team. But United completely fell apart without the Scholes. Tom Cleverley and Darren Fletcher weren't up to the task, and to make matters worse, they got injured. Scholes, who had taken up a role as an assistant coach under Sir Alex Ferguson, decided that his legs weren't tired anymore. Just 6 months after retiring, he redebuted on January 7, 2012, against Manchester City. Instantly, the Red Devils came back to life with Scholes in the squad. He played 22 matches and scored 4 goals in just half a season. United only lost the Premier League in the very last second, thanks to Sergio Agüero's legendary goal against Queen's Park Rangers. But the story didn't end there. Scholes signed for 1 more year and won his 11th Premier League title before retiring for good, alongside Sir Alex Ferguson, who also said farewell that very same year. The years have passed, many years, and Manchester United is still trying to figure out How to win without Paul Scholes. Arjen Robben was, in the era of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, the best of the mortals, a tragic hero who will mainly be remembered for his constant injuries that wrecked his career, for his spectacular goals cutting him from the right and curling the ball into the far corner, his trademark move, and for his no less textbook dives. Robben succeeded everywhere he played, but it was at Bayern Munich where he cemented his legendary status. Over the course of his career, the winger's trophy cabinet includes 1 Eredivisie title, 2 Premier League titles, 1 La Liga title, and 8 Bundesliga titles. Not to mention the 2013 Champions League, where he was the hero just 1 year after being the villain in the 2012 final. In 2019, at 35 years old, Robben chose not to renew his contract with Bayern. He had offers on the table from MLS and the Chinese Super League, but he opted to retire after wearing 5 shirts: Bayern, Real Madrid, Chelsea, PSV Eindhoven, and his boyhood club Groningen. In 2020, 1 year after handing up his boots, Groningen was struggling financially due to the impact of COVID-19, which had led to the Eredivisie being cancelled. That's when Robben decided to return to help his beloved team out of the crisis. The expectations were sky high, but when debut day arrived, disaster struck. A tragedy so dramatic it was, let's admit it, absurdly comical. Arjen Robben pulled his groin 30 minutes into his first match back, against PSV. He returned a month later against Utrecht, only to go down again 14 minutes in, this time with a calf injury. Robben missed almost the entire season and came back 6 months later to play the final 5 games of the campaign and of his career. In his frustrating comeback, Groningen's prodigal son managed to play only 263 minutes, recording 0 goals and 2 assists. But hey, it's the thought that counts. At Estudiantes de La Plata, Juan Sebastián Verón retired and came back, retired and came back, retired and came back, retired and came back. So many times that everyone lost track of how many false farewells he had. The first one happened in 2012, when he retired at 37 years old. But La Brujita had second thoughts and returned a year later to play 22 matches before saying goodbye again in 2014. 3 years later, Verón, now the club's president and all-powerful deity, decided to register himself for the 2017 Copa Libertadores. After all, he looked exactly the same since he was 25. In his final comeback, La Brujita played 5 matches, 4 of them as a starter, and finally, at 42 years of age, he finally left for good.